watching the endless expanse of space stretch out before her. The deep, velvety blackness of the void seemed almost oppressive at times, yet there was something comforting about it. She had spent most of her life navigating these vast, unknown stretches of the universe. As the leader of the Venori Deathworlders, her species had long been the most fearsome in the galaxy, resilient, savage, and almost impossible to defeat in battle. They had conquered countless planets, overcoming every challenge that came their way. Zara's pride in her people was immeasurable, but today, something felt different. The sensors pinged as a small, uncharted planet appeared on the display. Zara leaned forward, furrowing her brow. The planet was entirely unexpected. It wasn't marked on any of their maps, and their scans didn't reveal any signs of intelligent life. But there was something about it that intrigued her, something familiar. "Captain, I don't think we should approach," Lieutenant Hrax, her second-in-command, cautioned, his voice full of the skepticism that had become characteristic of him. "It's too risky. We don't know what's down there." Zara turned to Hrax, a grin tugging at the corners of her lips. "We've faced worse. Remember the Barian Nebula? That nearly fried our engines, but we got through it." She shook her head. "We're Deathworlders, Hrax. If we don't go down there now, we'll never know what's waiting." She stood up, pacing slowly across the deck. Zara was known for her fearlessness, her unrelenting drive to push her crew into the unknown. They had conquered countless worlds in the name of the Venori Empire, but Zara wasn't just a conqueror. She was a curious leader, always searching for the next challenge, the next big thing. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The Venori Deathworlders were not known for their diplomatic finesse. They were warriors, each one more dangerous than the last, their combat prowess unmatched. Yet, Zara's fascination with the unknown sometimes pushed them into situations they couldn't anticipate. "I think we should take the risk," Zara said decisively, settling back into her captain's chair. "Let's land and see what we're dealing with." The crew members reluctantly nodded. Zara's authority was unquestionable, and though they may have disagreed, they knew better than to challenge her in matters of exploration. The starship descended toward the mysterious planet. As they broke through the planet's atmosphere, Zara could make out the outlines of sprawling green fields and rugged mountains. It was a strikingly beautiful planet, and for a moment, Zara wondered if they had discovered something truly remarkable. But then, as they neared the surface, things started to go wrong. The starship's systems began to flicker and malfunction. First, the lights dimmed, then the navigation system went haywire. The ship jolted violently, as if something was pulling them down. "We've lost power," Hrax shouted over the comms, his voice tinged with panic. Zara gripped the armrests of her chair, her heart racing. It was happening again, something they couldn't control. The ship's descent was too fast. No amount of piloting would save them. The ground rushed up to meet them, and with a violent crash, the ship hit the planet's surface. The impact rattled everyone inside, and alarms blared as the ship's systems completely failed. For a few moments, everything was still. Then, slowly, the sounds of the crew moving began. Zara opened her eyes and blinked against the sudden disorientation. The control deck was in chaos. Wires were sparking, consoles were blacked out, and the crew members were scrambling to assess the damage. "We're alive," Zara muttered, though she could feel her heart pounding in her chest. "Everyone okay?" "We're all in one piece, Captain," Hrax responded, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. Zara exhaled sharply, trying to calm her nerves. She stood up, ignoring the shaking of her legs, and made her way to the hatch. The crew followed her, weapons at the ready, as they cautiously exited the starship. The first thing that hit them was the air. It was thick with humidity, the ground covered in a soft, springy moss. The air was rich with the smell of blooming plants and something strange. "What is this place?" Lieutenant Cora asked, squinting into the distance. The horizon stretched endlessly, broken only by tall, looming trees that seemed to stretch toward the sky. It was unlike any world the Venori had encountered before. The flora, while similar to their homeworld, seemed off, almost foreign. Yet, there was an eerie beauty to it. The crew spread out, carefully observing their surroundings. Zara took a deep breath, trying to assess the situation. "We'll need to explore. Get to the edge of the forest. Set up a perimeter. If anything happens, we fight." As they moved deeper into the unfamiliar terrain, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. The trees seemed to shift as if they were alive, and the strange, thick air made it hard to focus. Yet, it wasn't the natural world that unnerved Zara. It was the sense that they weren't alone. And then, in the distance, she saw something that made her blood run cold. A faint, blinking light. It was a signal, a sign of life. Humans. The light flickered again, casting a soft glow through the dense foliage. Zara's heart rate quickened, though she fought to keep her expression neutral. Her crew, though battle-hardened, was equally on edge. None of them had expected to find anyone on this planet, certainly not humans. The Venori Empire had wiped out most of the humanoid species across their territory, and the thought that any had survived seemed impossible. Yet here, on this obscure, uncharted world, there was a signal. "We need to move carefully," Zara said in a low voice, her tone commanding. "We don't know what we're walking into. Stay alert." The crew nodded, weapons ready, and began to follow her lead. The underbrush rustled beneath their boots as they made their way through the dense forest, each step taking them closer to the source of the light. It wasn't long before they reached the clearing where the signal was originating from. As they broke through the trees, their eyes widened in disbelief. A small structure stood before them, rudimentary in design, but unmistakably man-made. It was a small outpost, a shelter surrounded by makeshift walls and camouflage netting. The signal light blinked from a nearby panel, attached to a rusted metal antenna. It was clear someone had been here for a while, but who? Zara's instincts kicked in. The mission was no longer about exploration. It was about survival. She needed to understand who these humans were and what they were doing here. Had they somehow evaded the Empire's reach, or were they remnants of some lost colony? "Fan out," Zara ordered. "We need to find out if anyone's inside and what their intentions are." The team spread out, moving cautiously toward the shelter. Zara and Hrax approached the entrance. The door was slightly ajar, and through the crack, they could see the faint flicker of light from within. Zara motioned for Hrax to hold back as she took a step forward, pushing the door open. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust, and the scent of old wood. Zara's sharp eyes scanned the room quickly. It was sparsely furnished, but there was evidence of recent activity. A few scattered tools, a couple of empty food cans, and a rickety chair next to a small workbench. But there was no sign of life. "Nothing here," Hrax muttered, his voice low. Zara didn't respond immediately. Instead, she focused on the console near the wall. It looked like a makeshift communication device, patched together from various parts. She approached it cautiously, her fingers brushing over the buttons, trying to make sense of its function. After a moment of silence, she pressed a few keys. The screen blinked to life, showing a map of the planet, with several marked locations. But it was the last marker that caught her attention, a set of coordinates on a mountain range far to the north. "Look at this," Zara said, her voice steady but tinged with intrigue. "These coordinates, they lead to a mountainous region. It's not on any of our maps." Hrax joined her, studying the screen with a furrowed brow. "What do you think it means?" "I don't know," Zara replied, her mind racing. "But we're not the only ones here. These humans must have come from somewhere else on this planet. And wherever they're from, they're connected to this location." The sudden sound of movement behind them snapped Zara to attention. Her crew tensed, weapons raised. The door creaked open, and in the doorway stood a figure, silhouetted by the dim light outside. Zara's grip tightened on her weapon. "Don't move," Zara said sharply, her voice carrying the weight of authority. The figure stepped forward, raising its hands in a gesture of peace. "Wait, wait," the voice said, a deep, raspy tone filled with caution but not aggression. "I mean no harm." Zara's eyes narrowed. The figure was humanoid, tall, with a rugged appearance. But it was the features that stood out. Pale skin, with long, unkempt hair. The face was gaunt, marked by the harsh realities of surviving on this forsaken planet. And there was no mistaking it. This was a human. "Who are you?" Zara demanded, not lowering her weapon. "What are you doing here?" The man hesitated, his eyes darting between Zara and her crew. "My name is Eric," he said slowly, taking a step forward, but not enough to appear threatening. We thought we were the last ones left. The others, they didn't make it. We've been surviving here, hiding from what's out there. But I didn't think anyone else had made it." Zara's mind reeled. What do you mean, the others? Who are you hiding from? Eric's eyes flickered with a deep, unspoken pain. The Empire, he said quietly. You. The Venori Empire. They destroyed everything. We've been trying to survive here, but it's only a matter of time before they find us. Zara's blood ran cold. The Empire had left nothing but destruction in their wake. Entire species wiped out. Entire planets reduced to ashes. But this human, Eric, was claiming that he and his people had survived. The thought of humans making it this far, surviving on the edge of the galaxy, was both puzzling and unsettling. We're not here to fight, Eric added, his voice cracking slightly. We just want to survive. We've been hiding, living off the land, scavenging what we can. But we can't last much longer. Zara studied him, her expression unreadable. She had to decide whether to trust this human or treat him as a potential threat. The stakes had just gotten much higher, and Zara knew that whatever happened next, the answers were out there, waiting in the mountains to the north. I need more answers, Zara said, her voice firm. Show us where you've been hiding. We need to understand what's really going on here. Eric nodded slowly. Follow me. And with that, they left the shelter, stepping into the unknown.